and welcome back to Iron and Iron. I'm Emma, your host, joined by...
I'm Alex.
My brother. Thank you for coming back to episode 2. So today's topic for interpersonal communication is going to be relating to culture. If we think about all the different people that we interact with and meet on the daily basis, there is an equally as large number of different cultures that those individuals come from and own. Price's Atlas of Ethnographic Societies records that there are over 3,814 distinct cultures. These have been described by a bunch of anthropologists who even say that this number is a severe underestimate. So that is just crazy to think about all the different cultures of all the different people we meet and the uniqueness of each and every one of them. Knowing this, we know that that's going to impact how we communicate with someone. The Interpersonal Communication book by Joseph Devito says, demographic changes, increased sensitivity to cultural differences, economic and political interdependence, advances in communication technology, and the culture-specific nature of interpersonal communication, it's impossible to communicate effectively without being aware of how culture influences human communication. As siblings, me and Alex really share a lot of the same culture. We grew up in the same home with the same beliefs and the same age demographic. We really have shared a lot of our culture, especially growing up with screens and the age of digital media. We share a lot of similarity in that realm of communication. So other than a few slight age difference things, with him being in high school and me being in college physically, we share a lot of the same culture. But we can see a demographical difference in our culture whenever we think about our relationship with our parents. Whenever we think about the different generations that we come from versus where our parents come from. So, what differences do we see between us and mom and dad based on that age difference?
When they talk about their childhood, it sounds so boring, because, we're so used to, screens and stuff as being our entertainment, so it's they just didn't have that.
Yeah, and screens being how we communicate, and a big way that screens and digital media has affected how we communicate is the words and language we use. And some of the things that I say that I think are totally fine, if I say it to them, they see it as disrespectful, they see it as ugly. So it's really walking a fine line sometimes between understanding, whoa, they think that this is not good versus that's totally normal to me. So how do those differences change how we interact with them?
I just know to interact with them in person instead of online, because then they may not see my message or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely good. I change how I speak. I make sure that I'm not saying anything that they may see as disrespectful. As far as I try, it comes out sometimes. But that's just one way that I try to assimilate, because that is a term that means we change, adopt the language and values and behaviors of another culture, or in this case, another demographic. So as we continue to understand the intertwinedness of culture and interpersonal communication, we can start to think about how it impacts how we share the gospel. Similar to Geert Hofstede's cultural dimensions, Global Frontier Missions divides cultures into 3 different categories: shame and honor, guilt and innocence, and fear and power. These worldviews are important to understand as we begin to evangelize and share the good news of Jesus Christ with people outside of our culture. This can be scary and it can be overwhelming, but when we stop and think about how to share the gospel with these different people groups and the different values that their culture holds fast to, we can share the gospel in a way that relates to their current situation. Which is the beauty of the gospel, and the fact that God was so gracious to give us different ways to share it. It's the same message over and over again, but we can find key elements of it that can relate to different cultures depending on who we're talking to and what they value and what they hold to. So thank you so much for joining me and Alex on this episode of Iron and Iron. We hope to see you next time.